Now, without further ado, let's honor our special alumni this evening. Since 1987, CASTI has recognized graduates who have made exceptional contributions to their fields of work and their communities. Tonight's recipients are well known for their accomplishments and are well deserving of the awards. Our first award is the CASTI Young Alumni Achievement Award. This award recognizes a graduate from the past 15 years who's rendered exceptional service to his or her community or university and excels in his or her profession or pursuit of education. I now welcome Phyllis Cedar to the podium to introduce our Young Alumni Achievement Award winner, Caitlin Clemens, from the class of 2007.
It is indeed my honor to introduce this year's Young Alumni Award recipient, Caitlin Clemens. Since her actual resume, which is quite dense for a young woman, is already online, I decided instead to share some anecdotes to convey what makes Caitlin tick. First off, for anyone who knows Caitlin, or is lucky enough to get her greeting cards that come on numerous calendar holidays, you will notice that she is missing her canine counterpart, Gatsby, which doesn't seem quite right to me. So I brought him to tonight's festivities the only way I could, since he's in New York City. For those that can't see this, Caitlin was involved in many facets of school life here, but the two of us began our art adventures during her freshman year when I was an assistant to Ryan Dobson, who was teaching the Introduction to Photography class. From the very beginning, her work demonstrated a strong sense of composition, as well as the ability to capture nuances of light, color, and human interaction. These elements also happened to be integral to cinematography. Caitlin loved producing videos and was prolific all through high school. My first exposure to her film world was Leap of Faith, a hilarious story about rescuing frogs from the Chinese supermarket to release in the Cassidy Lake. It starred classmates Rachel Flesher, Justin Wu, and Mitch Lesher. Her next film, which took a step to the dark side, was Playhouse, starring her brother and Connor Wade. Caitlin got a building contractor to let her set up cameras inside a house as it was being demolished, so it would look like the house was self-destructing and killing the kids. She wrote and shot La Contrabandière, my French is so bad. She wrote and shot La Contrabandière during her junior year, and then used it for college applications to William & Mary's interview. It was based in Europe in World War II and shot at numerous locations. My son Will was one of the actors who was cast as a German soldier. His strongest, if not only his only attribute, was that he spoke fluent German. It seems like only yesterday I was sitting with Caitlin at the YMCA during fitness class, reading the script that she was submitting in her college application to USC Film School. She thought that USC was one of her top choices. However, she had submitted her film La Contrabandière with her application to William & Mary, and they asked her to come out for an interview. She fell in love with the place and the people. Plus, they also offered her a full scholarship and $5,000 to make her thesis film. So goodbye West Coast, hello East Coast. While at William & Mary, Caitlin wrote, directed, and produced a feature-length thesis film titled Rough Draft, which was premiered at Colonial Williamsburg's historic Kimball Theater. The film, then screened at festivals across the country, received the Best First Feature Award at the 2011 Williamsburg International Film Festival in Brooklyn, New York. After graduating from William & Mary, she applied and was accepted to the film department at NYU to work on a master's degree. You might ask why I have brought up photography and video and film production when Caitlin's career is now with Broadway Theater. Well, Caitlin decided to look for a job while she was in grad school, and she got a job with a producer who was doing both theater and film work, and who also recommended her for a job on the show Annie. And that would start after she finished grad school. From there, Her next step was landing a job developing Dear Evan Hansen in Washington, D.C., and voila, it goes to Broadway and becomes a hit, and the next thing you know, it gets a Tony Award for the best show of that year. The night of the Tonys, it was a hard choice for me because the Pittsburgh Penguins were playing in the Stanley Cup at the same time that the Tonys were on. So I recorded the Tony Award show so I could go and watch her go up on stage over and over again, which I did, in slow motion. It's funny how things work out, isn't it? So what does Caitlin do in her spare time? Well, she was also a founding staff member of the William and Mary Global Film Festival, which is now entering its 13th year, and served as executive director for the Alma Mater Productions, the campus-wide programming board. Her local involvements in New York have included America Reads, America Counts, and the Tribeca Film Festival, as well as the New York Public Library's Young Lions. She is a very busy woman indeed. Before I close, one thing I have to say is how much support she has always gotten from her parents and her family. That's what happens when you get older as a mother. You get really funny about that. Okay, so anyway, in closing, one thing I want to say is one of the subjects that has been at the heart of our faculty discussions while we've been evaluating our curriculum and looking at our school schedule is a portrait of a Cassidy graduate. What do we want our young men and women to become? Caitlin represents the best of what we hope our students will become as they seek their paths in life. She's smart, creative, talented, independent, kind, giving, and hardworking. Even though she now has a Tony Award, has frequented Sardi's, she remains humble and her feet are planted firmly on the ground. It is my honor to present this year's recipient of the Young Alumni Award, Caitlin Clements.
First of all, Mrs. Cedar, thank you so much for that generous introduction and for getting Gatsby here this evening. Suddenly feel so much more at ease. It's an honor and a pleasure to be back on the Cassidy campus tonight. As Mrs. Cedar mentioned, I currently live in New York City, where I've spent the past 7 years working on the producing team for the Broadway musical Dear Evan Hansen. Producing is a role that can mean many things to many people. I've come to learn, however, that it's a profession well suited for those who inherently want to work behind the scenes to help others find their spotlight, writers, directors, or performers. That is why this recognition is equal parts humbling, immensely flattering, and also very much daunting to be here before you now, pulled for a moment into that so-called spotlight to make a few remarks. When reflecting on my time here in anticipation of this evening, it was abundantly clear just how influential Cassidy faculty members were in preparing me for my current career path. Certainly it was through fostering a love for creativity and storytelling in its many manifestations, and I'll touch more on that in a moment. But in a broader sense, it was also about being the supportive and inspiring presence, working tirelessly from just outside of the scene in a constant effort to help their students succeed, flourish, and find their own personal spotlight. These days on Broadway, the one-act, 90-minute, you'll be home before 10 offering is all the rage. How lucky am I, though, that my time as a Cassidy lifer was really a 4-act production, spanning 14 plus years and allowing ample time to grow fully invested in the cast of characters surrounding me, and also fostering relationships with those who were truly invested in my own personal character and creativity. Act 1 began in the primary division, where our nurturing teachers instilled in us from the early age the importance of diversity and a platform for global voices through occasions like the World Banquet. We also learned the value of a great costume, sporting those stylish paper pilgrim hats as we munched on pumpkin bread and applesauce during every Thanksgiving feast. From there, I journeyed on to Act 2 in lower division, where I learned the value of great character with the chances to research and embody personas like astronaut Shannon Lucid during Famous Oklahomans Week or Laura Ingalls Wilder during Celebrate America. That ability to fully immerse oneself into the mind and reality of another still serves me well in my profession today. This Act 2 was also when I had the great fortune to meet Elizabeth Alexander, who is here tonight, and became like an extended family member, instilling core values from an early age in her Bible classes, as well as a love for cassette tapes, Rummy Cube, and Reese's peanut butter cookies. Act 3 took place in the middle division, which began as an exercise in scrappy resourcefulness as we started our 5th grade career in the luxurious temporary trailers, while the beautiful McClendon Middle School was still being completed. I'd later come to learn this was the perfect preparation for making the absolute most of any space you're given, like the black box theaters and, shall we say, charmingly historic New York rehearsal studios that I've become well acquainted with in recent years. More importantly, during those middle school years, teachers such as Mrs. Mewborn, Mrs. Crossnow, and Mrs. Lamb introduced me to the likes of Scout Finch, Ponyboy Curtis, and Jim Hawkins, with whom I felt such a visceral connection that I can't help but credit those moments with leading me into a career path that's all about the power of storytelling and compelling characters. These were also some of the earliest moments when I was encouraged to believe that I could be a teller of stories and not just an appreciator of them, with creative classroom prompts for character profiles, play scripts, poetry, and more. For someone whose writing career to that point had basically consisted of a lot of Star Wars fan fiction, and I mean a lot, this attention to and appreciation of the original stories I was crafting was both inspiring and revelatory. My final act, or Cassidy finale, if you will, was in the upper division. Despite the academic rigor, opportunities for creative pursuits abounded, and they didn't just coexist with my studies, but truly complemented them. Editing the Logos literary magazine under the watchful eye of Mr. Johnson in the English department, as Mrs. Cedars mentioned, photography lessons in Lee Lecture Hall, the janitor closet turned dark room, or the film art elective with Dr. Green, the first time I appreciated the cinematic art form as something that could truly be studied, and also the moment I fell madly in love with Jimmy Stewart. One of my biggest undertakings was, as the then budding filmmaker, a French language World War II period piece, which you so beautifully gave the title of a few times, created under the guidance of Mrs. Cedar, coupled with some script translation pointers from my French teacher, Mr. Zabel. These mentors provided endless support and enthusiasm to the perhaps overly ambitious project, and even offered themselves and their unsuspecting offspring as extras and cast members. These were also the years when I first tried my hand at being a theater kid. While I lacked the flair for the dramatics possessed by many of my friends, I was grateful to Fee Theater and its stewards for always finding a way to welcome me into the fold. From toiling over structurally questionable kitchen sets and stagecraft, to manning the spotlights for Godspell from high up in the catwalk, or prepping gallons of iced tea for use as onstage whiskey while acting as the de facto props master for one season's play, my roles were niche and small in the grand scheme. Nevertheless, come opening night, a paper star bearing my name graced the walls of the backstage hallways right alongside the actors and musicians, and I couldn't have felt more at home. The sense of community was infectious, and it was this inclusivity shown towards even dabblers like me, which would ultimately lead me to believe I could possibly find a place for myself within the insular world of the New York theater community, despite the fact that on paper, I might not have seemed like the most obvious candidate. Looking back, I feel so incredibly fortunate for the rare 4-act Cassidy experience that made up my childhood and adolescence. That each year and each new division could compound upon itself, enriching my education in a cohesive way. But most importantly, it was the people, the faculty, who I crossed paths with each day, who were making a profound imprint on my life and the lives of my peers. Like any good producer, they showed a constant dedication to assessing the unique talents and temperaments of each individual under their care and quietly propelling them towards their own destined spotlight. Tremendous thanks to my parents, Matilda and Ed, for the gift of a Cassidy education, along with my grandparents, Dick, who's here tonight, and Mary, and my great-grandmother, Hazel. Heartfelt thanks to all of my friends and family who are here supporting me tonight. And most of all, thank you to the Cassidy Alumni Association for this recognition. I hope you all have a wonderful evening and a great homecoming weekend.
Thank you. I can see why I never won the Young Alumni Achievement Award. Our next award is the Cassidy Alumni Achievement Award, which recognizes a graduate who's shown outstanding achievement in personal or professional endeavors. I welcome Laura Love, class of '89 and the 2010 winner of this award to the podium to introduce this year's Alumni Achievement Award winner, Christina Cloberdance, class of 1989.
I have a 17-year-old daughter who's going to leave for college next fall. I spent a lot of time thinking about what sage pieces of advice that I can share with her while she's still trapped under my roof. I want to share with my daughter how important it is to be a woman who is strong and fiercely independent, but full of grace, compassion, and kindness. I want to encourage her to walk the road that others seldom travel and to experience the world and fill her life with interesting people that will change her world for the better. I want her to follow her professional passion and create work that fills her. But most importantly, I want her to remember how she was raised and how important the people are who helped shape her. In a nutshell, I want her to live the kind of life that her godmother and my friend of 45 years, Christina Cloberdance, has lived. But first, I'm going to share with her that even amazing human beings, like her godmother, didn't always do it perfectly. And there are 3 specific life lessons she could learn from Christina's life along the way. Lesson number 1. Reading comprehension is completely overrated. And it is a damn horrible predictor of success. Take, for instance, Christina. I swear she could not read to save her life. I know this because my math skills were as awful as her ability to read. So, in 3rd grade, we made a deal. She would teach me math and I would teach her to read. And guess what? I wasn't that great of a tutor at 8 years old. But as I mentioned, speed reading green eggs and ham is apparently not a predictor of success. This one went on to spend nearly 24 years at IBM, leading its global corporate responsibility and managing all of the company's sports and entertainment sponsorships, among like a gazillion other opportunities and responsibilities. And 2 years ago, she was then hired to become MasterCard's first ever Chief Sustainability Officer. Yep, that little blonde thing right there that could not read to save her life is now in charge of shaping MasterCard's entire commitment to global sustainability. I love this. Told you should not have picked me. It is kind of Lesson number 2. If you are a terrible driver, become a professional ballerina. Because that way you can simply pirouette your way to your next location. Christina is a lot of things, but driving has never actually been her strong suit. I also know this firsthand because I was riding shotgun with her maybe 32 minutes after she passed her driver's license test, and we decided to skip school. And she managed to smash into a bright red new Mercedes on May Avenue. But the irony of this entire thing is that Jeremy Venata and Bruce Migliaccio had made a bet that same week about when she would have her first wreck. The bar was set super low. 1 week. Jeremy picked the over, Bruce picked the under. Bruce won the bet.
And tell them what you hit the next week.
It's my speech. 6 wrecks and 1 high school career later, I remain convinced that Christina spent so much time in the ballet studio simply just to stay off the roads. But once again, it seemed to work out just fine for a blondie over here because she managed to dance with the School of American Ballet, the Pacific Northwest Ballet, and the San Francisco Ballet. And that 1 wreck that she had in college, her mom swears it was not her fault. Lesson number 3. When you have 46 extra minutes in your day, don't take a nap. I actually mean this. Okay, I'm going to paint the picture for you. Here's a snapshot of the life of Christina Cloberdance in 60 days. give or take. Take a flight from JFK to Atlanta for work. While you're on Wi-Fi in the air, book a house in the Hamptons for a month of June. Open an email to find out that you've just been invited to be a part of the Aspen Institute's Leaders Forum. Land, change clothes, head to take your final test to become a certified holistic health coach. Pack another bag, come back to Oklahoma to spend time with mom and dad. While you're visiting, book a trip to climb the base camp of Everest, because, well, why not? You just climbed Kilimanjaro. You might as well do this too. You love on your mom and dad, your nieces and your nephews. Head back to New York City to tape a sustainability video to be sent to 15,000 MasterCard employees. Repack a bag, head up to San Francisco to speak to a climate action summit. Ignore the painful kidney infection because you need to publish MasterCard's annual sustainability report. Hit send and quickly take a deep breath, only to realize you have 46 minutes with absolutely nothing to do. So what does every normal person do in that situation? You leave your apartment, you head across town, and you help renovate one out of the 11 New York City parks from Harlem to Chinatown that need revitalizing. Because you have 46 minutes and naps are highly overrated. And all of that is true. So Cassidy teaches us how to use our mind, our body, and our spirit. Christina has embodied all three. And together they made her who she is today. She is smart as a whip in ways that matter. The fact that she cannot tell you who wrote Paradise Lost or how to spell his name matters very little when she is paving the way for the future of a Fortune 500 company. She still has a sculpted frame of a professional ballet dancer, yet she finds the time to exercise in 30 different ways that would leave the rest of us in bed for a week. And Christina's faith has kept her very strong and grounded through a lot of challenging times, including the death of our friends and our former classmates, Ashley, Iron, Greg, and Spencer, as well as her sweet dad's recent health challenges, who is absolutely with us in spirit tonight in the strongest Clover Dance way. So please join me and the rest of the other members of the class of '89 who are here tonight with a round of applause as we invite our dear friend, our fellow Cassidy lifer, and pretty much an all-around superwoman, Christina Clover Dance, to the stage. With a hug and a smile, it's all okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, Laura, thank you. Without the roasting, I would say, would you be my publicist? Because you said some very kind words, and then that is what you do. You do have a PR firm. You're very good at it. This is such a pleasure and such an honor to be here tonight. Who I am today is very much because of Cassidy. And Cassidy lit up in me a passion for life, a forever burning optimism. And what I've been accused of over time is an infectious enthusiasm. But before I go on, I would be remiss if I didn't thank my parents. After all, it's my mom and dad who afforded my brothers and me the opportunity to attend Cassidy from kindergarten through graduation. We were lifers, and I'm so very thankful for that. So thank you, Mom. I remember a time when my mom was asked how she ended up with 3 such successful children. And now I'm not sure what the woman's qualifying factors were, but I remember my mom's response. And she looked up and she said, "Why, thank you, but we can't take all the credit. We actually made a really good decision one day to send our kids to an incredible school. And Cassidy gets half the credit for it." She said, "They're raising our kids as well." And she said, "I knew that the kids could never show up at Cassidy with blue hair." So Cassidy is also due in part to who we are
today. The irony, and this is the irony, I wrote this before you heard what Laura just said, but the irony of Laura presenting this award to me tonight, I'm going to paint a picture for you so that you have the visual. And it's funny because you're getting both sides of the story here. I get the last word, thank goodness. But imagine the two of us in kindergarten sitting Indian style on the floor in Laura's walk-in closet with her trying to teach me how to speed read. Now, truth be told, it might have been Cat in the Hat, I will say. But the wonderful thing was that she was a whiz at reading, and math was a piece of cake for me. She didn't quite play that up, did she? And so we continued this little exchange of talents, and I sincerely apologize to all the teachers in the room that are here today that are hearing this our entire way through. But I hope that there's a statute of limitations and no one takes away our diplomas at this point. Because I remember a time when my mom picked me up at the Civic Center, and it was after a performance of the Nutcracker or something, and she said, "Well, do you still have homework to do?" And I looked at her and I said, "No, while I was performing, Laura read my book for me and I did her math homework." And of course my mom was appalled and she just kept driving. What somehow or another, not only did we both graduate, but you guys decided to give us both this award. So I'm not sure, what we pulled off, but I could spend all night raving about the academic excellence Cassidy afforded me and my fellow classmates, the careers and the successes. You heard about mine, but I mean, every single one in here has such rich, interesting stories. And those accolades are, without doubt, in the very foundation of what we learned here at Cassidy. But for me standing in front of you tonight, my sincerest gratitude and appreciation for what Cassidy afforded me was character. And the lessons came in spades. And I think back on our experiences, and I look at the faces in front of me tonight, and I think of all the memories and all the stories, the lessons that we learned. Here you go, Laura, here's another one. And they range from, I remember in first grade, and I was about to lose my first tooth, and we were in Miss Zeke's class. And Laura raised her hand and she said, "I heard if you tie a string to a loose tooth, and then you tie the other end to a door, and then you slam the door, it'll pull the tooth out, and if you need a volunteer, I'll slam the door." So we went through life, and there are stories like this with each of my friends that are here today. But Jeremy, I would be remiss. We're standing here in Calvert Hall. And as we were going to our Christmas formal, we were all dressed up. I was in a green taffeta dress that was hideous, and I'm not sure how my mom allowed me to leave in it. And we get right outside of Calvert in a limo, and Jeremy threw up on me. In the car here tonight, he said, "But I didn't throw up on you." And I was like, "Yes, you actually did." And he was like, "No, no, no." And I said, "I didn't want to tell you till tonight. But yes, I had to walk in a green taffeta dress to Calvert Hall, and your throw up on me. But we're still friends tonight, and those are things that I think gave me character." Thank you. Thank you. But back to that
Flowers the next day.
I did get flowers the next day, thanks. But to talk about character, I learned about work ethic here at Cassidy. No one got a free pass. You had to do the work. I learned dedication, determination, and perseverance. I believe that Cassidy taught me not only how to learn, but the desire to learn. I had the chance to take a professional contract for ballet and not go on to college. But I never even entertained the idea for a second. It wasn't my parents who said you have to go to college. I'd gone to a college preparatory school my entire life. I couldn't imagine not. Cassidy provided me enormous exposure to academics, to the arts, to athletics, to countries far and near, and what we studied and how they brought the learnings to life. I firmly believe that if you show a child that there's more in them than they ever thought possible, they'll never settle for less. I saw that, and I've yet to settle for less. To me, anything was possible, and I've come to find out it actually is. The world is a big, wide, exciting, and wonderful place. I'm an explorer. I'm curious, And I believe I learned that here at Cassidy. I took French and I took German, and while I'm not entirely sure how the Latin played in here, but these languages took me to spend a summer in Austria during college and a month a year for the last 15 years in Paris. It's my second home. The more I saw, the more I craved. In the past 2.5 years, I spanned the globe from Nepal to Paris, London, San Francisco, Italy, Majorca, Berlin, Ecuador, Oklahoma City, DC, St. Moritz, Hamptons, Miami, Kenya, Uganda, LA, the Cotswolds, Johannesburg, Australia, Iceland, Portugal, Burgundy, Saint-Tropez, San Diego, Dorset, and the English countryside, to name a few. It's been a wild ride, to say the least. I've always wanted to do and have it all. Maybe you just got a sense of that. I started dancing professionally with Ballet Oklahoma at 14, but I never wanted to miss anything that everyone else was doing here at Cassidy. And remarkably, Cassidy enabled me to do it all. I rehearsed and performed in ballets at the Civic Center, but I also ran track, played field hockey, and tennis. I just pray that I didn't make the Friday paper with shin guards and mouth guard and a kilt, because Ballet Oklahoma was not quite as forgiving. Which leads me to a funny story, and Laura mentioned this. At IBM for a decade, I managed their sponsorships with professional sports and entertainment. And guess what? When I called home from Roger Goodell's NFL boardroom to say, I now had the NFL, Super Bowl, Masters and US Open golf, the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments. I was managing all of the scoring, the statistics, the broadcast graphics of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments. Guess what my dad and brothers said? Are you serious? You're the one in the family now with a tennis-related career? What do you say in meetings? And I tried to assure them I could hold my own and I would not destroy the family name. But I know that my love for sports started with my participation here at Cassidy. Athletic excellence and endurance has always played a prominent role in my life. One memory was with cross country. And Jill Timberlake and I ran cross country, and we ran, and we ran, and we ran. And I think what we loved about it was we had a chance to chat. So much so that when we ran the 2-mile at track meets, we chatted the whole way, side by side. And we were actually pretty fast, and we would finish in first place. We'd tie for first. And sweet Coach Frick would just beg one of us to please just push ahead, and we never did. But that led going on to running marathons, and then Kristen Michener and I ran the Dallas and New York City before I had to tell her I was retiring and would wish her well as she went on doing more. But what I learned on the trails during cross country and on the track was how to mute that voice in your head. The voice that says, I can't go on. Why did I decide to do this? I'm gonna stop. Nobody will know. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone. That voice has so many different ways of getting to you, doesn't it? But I learned how to quiet that voice. And that enabled me to climb mountains, to climb Kilimanjaro, to figure out while I'm in Kilimanjaro what the next one I wanted to climb, and to trek through the Gobi Desert and to Everest Base Camp and others. And guess what? While I was just trying to do left foot, right foot and get to the top of the mountain, Stephen Price was saving people who were stuck on mountains. And so it's so admirable. But Cassidy taught me how to be engaged, to participate, to not sit on the sidelines. I learned going through life that friends went to larger schools that never had a chance to play on a team. Well, now it might have been because of our size and we needed everybody on that field, but we had to pick a sport and we had to play. And one of our family mandates was that whatever we started, we had to finish. And my mom would say, you don't ever have to do it again, but you have to finish. And the lesson we learned through that was that there's always going to be ups and downs. But if you don't allow yourself to quit until it's over, 9 chances out of 10, you can't remember what those low points were. So we learned to participate, to not give up, and we then were able to experience the heights of those. Cassidy is where I first learned leadership. Without even really knowing it, you just participated and you got engaged. And there's so many examples when I look back and see that, I see how that played out in my life. A leadership position with Gales in the Pep Club prepared me to be rush chairman for a sorority at SMU, which then in turn led me to be comfortable, as Laura mentioned, in Harlem conducting 1,000 volunteers, painting and planting and beautifying the New York City parks to give back to our community. And I learned that first here. There are some core characteristics which I believe set leaders apart, and that starts with respect, trust, decency, and how you treat people. Cassidy taught us this in the most clever way. We didn't even realize it at the time. And today I'm in the midst of creating MasterCard's first ever statement on human rights. It's centered on our culture of decency, and I believe that decency was a thread throughout our entire Cassidy life. Every day we were here on this gorgeous campus, green, lush, full of nature. From a young age, we all walked around the lake to chapel. I know I took nature for granted then. We were so lucky without realizing it, but I value it now. And now I have the sheer pleasure of creating MasterCard's environmental strategy so that our kids and their kids can have a lake to walk around to chapel in the morning. Cassidy taught me not only character but compassion, competition yet camaraderie, but one of the greatest gifts Cassidy gave me was community. It taught me the importance of lifelong friendships. Family is not just blood. Life is nothing without the people we share it with. It's about relationships. As Laura mentioned, our class lost some far too young, but my heart bursts looking out and seeing your faces here. We've shared each other's successes and heartbreak, excitement and sadness. It's the Cassidy family that we share, and we're so lucky. My dad couldn't be here tonight. He's hooked up to far too many tubes in an ICU. And I know that had there been a way that we could have snuck him out, that I would have had an army here with me. And I can just visualize us trying to unplug things and get out of there before all the alarms were blaring and them saying, "Where are you going?" If he could have been here, I know he would have loved it. But he's shown us that mind, heart, and soul can outlive the body. I can't wait to go tell him about tonight. To me, each and every person in our class is deserving of this award. Everyone has led their own journey, and I'm so excited to spend the weekend celebrating everyone. Thank you again.
Our final award of the evening is the Cassidy Distinguished Graduate Award. This award recognizes a graduate who demonstrates his or her loyalty to the school, renders service to their community, excels in their profession, and achieves recognition on a local, state, national, or international level. I welcome Peter Hoffman to the podium to introduce Cassidy's Distinguished Graduate Award winner to Kent Hoffman. Class of '69.
Hi everybody. Can you all hear me okay? Hi all. Bro, how you doing down there? You look wonderful. I am happy to be here tonight and to be a part of Brother Kent's celebration. And congratulations to all the other recipients. What a fine event this is. Cassidy School is a great school. It truly is. Wonderfully, it has always believed in the absolute importance of interconnecting the mind, the body, and the spirit in order to help its student achieve the highest possible level of growth in life. Academics, athletics and physical fitness, spiritual and moral development are all integral parts of daily campus life. And each day, day after day, year after year, the teachers and staff are working like crazy to help build and instill that unshakable foundation in the students that come this way, hoping that they are succeeding. Well, tonight we are privileged to see firsthand some examples of how Cassidy actually is succeeding. and those that embody and display the principles of excellence in life in all areas. It is an honor to be introducing the Cassidy Distinguished Graduate Award to my brother, Kent. Bro, I've got to say it, you are a good one. From all your sibs, Susan, Marty, and me, we all came from all over, me from a mile away, the rest of them from both coasts, and your family and friends, we are so proud of you and love you. Beginning with your loyalty to friends in Cassidy, you give of your time and money in order to help wherever possible. Whatever a fundraising is necessary, being an active board member, an involved parent, or serving as a mostly good role model to Zach, Will, and Sam, you are there to support and show by example. Kent, you are a great father and husband and continue to do wonderful works in the community, especially in the areas of helping young people. It's remarkable what you've done there. Professionally, you represent excellence in every way, and I've got to say here, you are killing it. You have had multiple successful business ventures, but it is in this area, in home building, where you stand on the mountaintop. You absolutely do. We have watched your efforts in this area for decades, literally decades around this area, and I will say unequivocally that you are one of the greatest builders that has ever been, without any question. Hard work, honesty, fairness, transparency, building expertise, and usually timeliness on the job well done. And the fact that my brother, being the humble guy that he is, won't tell you how many awards he's won in home building, but it is staggering year after year after year. And then finally, there is the being your brother thing. In spite of the fact that you were able to skate by mom and dad under the radar because I was always causing trouble and driving them crazy, which is really true for those of you that know me, you are and always will be my wonderful bro. It is such a joy to see you go about your day with humility, confidence, a quiet but strong sense of purpose, and a genuine love of life, wanting only to do a great job with each new effort. Love, my bro. Congratulations, Kent. You are most deserving of this award. Time out. Woo! Unbelievable. So bro is really looking for a freebie on his house. I can accommodate that. But it'll be a small freebie. Okay? My God, how can I follow these two ladies? Lord of mercy. I don't know. I really can't. Congratulations, you all. Christina and Caitlin, you all just rock. I mean, it speaks to what Cassidy does. Wow. Okay, wow. Okay. My sisters are here. My gosh, Peter mentioned that. So Susan, Marnie, Peter, we all graduated from Cassidy. I love it. Susan's from Virginia, her husband Mike. Marnie from California, her husband Mike. So great that they're here. I love it. So it keeps the name simple. Okay, moving on. The Cassidy Alumni Association. Sean and the team, thank you all very much. So grateful and delighted to receive this award. It's a true honor, and once again, it's very humbling. So I didn't mention Sam Hoffman. Sam's here tonight and his beautiful bride Anna, who we love so much. So the humbling part of this is, so I'm about a month ago, or 2 months ago, I'm telling Sam, you know, hey Sam, you know, I'm going to be honored. Hope you can make it and all this stuff. And he goes, God, Dad, you're cool. You know, that's really neat. So
So anyway, about a week later, he calls me back and goes, you know, Dad, did she ever tell you how many people turned that deal down before they did? God, he just busts my chops every time. Okay. Whoa. And he just has a big smile when he does it. Yeah. And Jennifer Holmesy, thank you so much. You've done so much. You really. It's such a thrill to get to meet you. I've known your family, but I can't keep everybody straight. They're Farhaj, Holmeses, I don't know. Okay. Anyway, isn't that fair to say? That's fair. Okay, so really my deal is, what do I say tonight? So my deal was, I wrote a thank you note to Cassidy. So here you go, y'all. You got to bear with me. So, dear Cassidy, what a blessing to attend Cassidy from first grade through high school. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for this gift. Thank you, Dodie Cheek, who I got a note from today, who made our second grade class sing La Marseillaise to her individually en français. Second grade, spare me, okay? Only at Cassidy. Only at Cassidy. To this day, Liz and I are major Francophiles and have a passion for languages. Dodie attended our 50th reunion, which was, we got together about 2 weeks ago. She's 96 and just rocks it still. She is amazing. That's very cool. Okay, so thank you to Mr. Swan. Does anybody remember Mr. Swan? Okay, yeah. See? I'm not calling you Golden, by the way. Thank you to Mr. Swan, who taught me chess, a game I still love today. Thank you to Coach Charlie Brown, we remember him, who goes on and head of Holland Hall Athletics. Thank you to Coach Charlie Brown, who made science enjoyable while he molded us into good middle school football players. David Gorham, are you still here? I hope so. Thank you to David Gorham. Is he? So he had the pleasure of arriving just in time to know us as crazy teenagers, okay? But David's mentoring in the classroom, on the soccer field, and as headmaster, and every other administrative position, I think he's done everything, has been such a positive influence in my life, as well as our 3 sons who all attended Cassidy. Thank you to Mrs. Tuck. A lot of people remember her, okay? Mrs. Tuck, wow. Thank you to Mrs. Tuck, who demanded so much from her students while proving that the fear of God and Mrs. Tuck was real and could be an effective teaching technique. Okay? So this really meant a lot to me. It came in extremely handy when I returned to join the faculty years later. Thank you to Mr. Hiller. We have some Hiller fans, okay? And so, you know, Earl never squelched my love of math in spite of his algebra class. God, that was I hated that thing. As Dean of Students and Head Enforcer, it was always entertaining to see the cute girls flirt their way out of trouble. And they're all right over there. They all did that. And we would get slammed. But no, oh no, she didn't do anything wrong. Great, thanks, Earl. Thank you. And this is really powerful for me. Thank you to the spiritual emphasis of our school and Fathers Shaw, Riley, Barnes, Marlin, Blizzard. My faith in God's word are my anchor today, and I really mean that. Amen. Yeah. Thank you to Mr. Marble. Mr. Marble. Did you realize the faculty we had? I mean, it's just unbelievable. Thank you to Mr. Marble, who spent summers in closed sessions with our country's greatest scientists but always returned to Cassidy because he couldn't resist our attempts to blow up the science lab. Okay. He introduced me to Williams College. Thank you to the upper school French team of Clara and Arlen Gill and Mr. Tuck and Coach Zabel. God, don't you love them? Love them. It's hard not to, you know, I cried writing this thing, but anyway, they solidified my love of France and languages. Thank you to Coach Grantham. Now this is where it really gets powerful because this was my world. Thank you to Coach Grantham, Coach Gibson, Coach Sears, Coach Rossiker for turning privileged boys into somewhat disciplined young men and successful athletes. More importantly, we learned that there's no I in team. Personally, sports have taught me so much about life and myself and the importance of staying physically fit and the value of teamwork. This is a special one too. Thank you to Dr. Woolsey, who was always a source of wisdom for me. I'm grateful for his leadership and for hiring a near-miss Vietnam War candidate and allowing me to coach and presumably teach. Because I wasn't interested in teaching, by the way. I'm especially grateful for our Sunday evening faculty martini sessions at the headmaster's house with Jim Williams. I don't know if anybody remembers Jim, but he was great. By the way, my salary for 50 hours a week was $9,200 or $4.98 per hour. Pretty good. I made more each summer at our Cassidy tennis camp. Okay. That's a problem in our world, but anyway. Thank you, Cassidy, for making our son's experiences so productive and enjoyable. Thank you for my time as trustee and my continued involvement with the plant committee and athletics. Finally, before signing off, thank you to my classmates. I love you guys. This golden deal isn't all that great. God, I can underline that 100 times. But it did get us all together. Let's agree, okay, let's agree to say that we're beginning the back nine at Amen Corner. Okay? That rings, doesn't it? You know, like that can be like only on 11, hole number 11. Okay? You guys are very special to me. Our class has two gifts tonight to present. And I know Jennifer's coming up here, so I'm going to leave them right here. But one is a boring check for X amount of dollars. Okay, this is left over from our reunion a couple of weeks ago. And you know, we got lots of money and all that stuff. And I'll get in trouble for that line. But anyway, the second, voila. The second is a real gift from Colonel Rosker's family, okay? Nails, who was in our class, and Colonel Rosker's son, Nails presented this football, which we signed and gave to his father, the Colonel, after drubbing St. Mark's to win our second straight SBC championship in 1968, okay? This is a gift. I'm leaving it, Jennifer. It's right here, dear, for you. Thank you all for coming tonight. More importantly, though, we are here tonight because of our appreciation and love for this remarkable school. Thank you very much.
These three alumni honorees are perfect examples of Cassidy's mission. It's an honor to me to present to you all the 2019 Alumni Award recipients. While Ken was speaking, I was reminded of something. Oh, God. When he taught French in lower division. I was one of his students. And
That's enough.
well, while he was here, it's the only time in the history of Cassidy that the upper division girls took the long walk around the lake to lunch. It's always been a mystery to me. I can't understand why. Before I hand the microphone to our final speaker, I want to say a few words myself about Cassidy. I'm proud to be a graduate of Cassidy. I'm a lifer, and my time at Cassidy was rewarding, challenging, and a lot of fun. I enjoyed some successes, some failures, and along the way I received a great education from a terrific faculty and administration and made a lot of lifelong friends. Cassidy prepared me for college, but it also helped prepare me for life. Cassidy's mission helped me appreciate academics, literature, arts, teamwork, personal responsibility, and spirituality. These things combined are great tools for students as they move on. Cassidy continues this today. Many of the buildings are different, but Cassidy is the same. The faculty is amazing. The campus is beautiful, has a collegiate feel. The students are challenged to their greatest potential, and there's great student unity. Basically, it's still tough, but the students enjoy it, and I have a lot of pride in the school. I know this because my 3 boys are here. They're lifers, and they're in the 10th, 9th, and the 3rd grades. Now, to keep all this going, Cassidy's always going to need the financial support of the alumni. So there are pledge cards on your tables.
Right here.
This is new to the banquet. I hope you all are enjoying this part. So if you haven't had the opportunity to make a gift, please consider doing so now. You can fill out the card or you can go to the website. They make it very, very easy. But please make Cassidy part of your annual giving, and thank you.
Oh, and the cupboard's open.
And the cupboard's open. And now please join me in welcoming Jennifer Holmesy to the podium for closing remarks regarding our Golden Cyclones, class of 1969.
Thank you, Sean. So that was another wonderful evening celebrating Cassidy's outstanding alumni. Please join me in thanking Sean Coyle for an exceptional job hosting us. Our head of school, Nathan Sheldon, is actually traveling, and he sends his congratulations to all 3 of you and to our Golden Cyclones and wishes you all well. I'd like to take a moment to convey my appreciation to the entire Alumni Association board, who work so hard in giving their time, talent, and treasure to ensure that future generations of alumni receive the same excellence that you all received when you were Cassidy students. I've been working with the board for the past 2 years, and they're an incredible asset to me, helping keep Cassidy connected to our 3,700 plus alumni around the world. Finally, I'd like to take a few moments to recognize a group of alumni in our gathering this evening. The class of '69 had their 50th reunion, and they're now officially Golden Cyclones. Let's think for a minute about the year 1969. The Beatles' last public performance on the roof of Apple Records was held. Boeing 747 jet made its debut. Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, the epitome of the American muscle car, was introduced. Woodstock attracted more than 350,000 rock and roll fans. and American astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin became the first humans to set foot on the moon and utter those immortal words, "That's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind." Those were very important life events in our world, but more importantly, right here at Cassidy School, our 68 seniors were preparing to begin a new chapter in their life after having been a class of many accomplishments and firsts of their own. According to the 1969 Crier, Marilyn Elderkin Berrigree was named the Gales Pep Club president and Leslie Morgan Regans the secretary. Both of their executive strengths could help them later in life, as Marilyn aspired to be a plastic diaper tester and Leslie a model for the Maidenform Company. Kent Hoffman, author of The Winner's Circle, wrote about how impossible the thought of ice hockey in Oklahoma was, as the only ice ever seen was in a freezer. Susan Parker, and sadly she couldn't be with us tonight, but she'd actually be really good at this. She aspired to be a true confessions writer. Penny DeLisi Park was named literary editor of The Twister, in charge of all comments and reading material in the yearbook. She was also voted best hair. Lee Reynolds starred in the title role of Where's Charlie, singing the Broadway song, "I Wouldn't Dream of Trying to Kiss Her." A life in acting is tough, as Caitlin probably knows. That's why his day job was Greyhound bus driver. Christy Gaylord Everest and Peggy Gordon Duncan were vice and assistant vice reporters reporting on, I'm not really sure. I guess they could go into the aspiring librarian Karen Watson's library and find some content. And lastly, this one's pretty good. John Mark Pascal aspired to be a stand-in for Peter Pan. The class of 1969 had a lot of jokesters and pranksters, which is probably why the senior women decided they would fill Mr. Hiller's office to the ceiling with wadded up newspapers. And the senior men cemented Coors beer bottles on the roof of St. Edward's Chapel that withstood the test of time, only to be found, no lie, 40 years later during our 2010 chapel renovation. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Sheldon still has some of those bottles in his office as a remembrance of the renovation and the pranks that our seniors could pull. Nonetheless, each of you set off 50 years ago and in many ways have gone on to do wonderful things to change the world for the better. We're truly grateful for the mark you have left. Due to logistics and the fact that George Edwards had to cut his wheat and go hunting this weekend, your big reunion was held earlier in October. However, we still have a wonderful group here with us tonight, and it is with great honor that I ask each of you from the class of '69 to please stand and officially allow us to welcome you as Golden Cyclones. In closing, whether we look back to the first graduating class in 1951, when Cassidy students graduated 5 seniors and had more than just 120 students enrolled, or we consider the more than 945 students that we have today, one thing remains true and obvious. Cassidy's mission has held steady. We prepare students to succeed, to think for themselves, to act with compassion, and to live lives of balance, purpose, and joy. Congratulations to the class of '69 and to Kent, Christina, and Caitlin. You have worked hard and we celebrate you. Thank you all and have a wonderful night.